Alrighty, welcome to my first, probably my last podcast. Um, yeah, we are here today. We're gathered here today because I suck at fantasy football. Yeah, after years of being the top dog in one league, winning a bunch of championships, I haven't had a whole lot of success in this league. I think I made the playoffs once. It was a first round exit. But this year was exceptionally worse compared to the prior 2 years. Because the first year of the LFFL, which is the Lacrosse Fantasy Football League, I went. Hold on, let me pull this bitch up. I went 7-7, got fifth place in the league, and was in the playoffs. It has only went downhill from there, as last year I was fighting to not take last place and went 6-8. And this year we were the worst team in the league, and I don't think it was particularly close how bad it was either. I got last place by one game, so it did come down to the last couple weeks, and we had a chance to get in, but had a slow start. Probably some bad coaching, probably some bad GM work in there. The players didn't perform, the coaches didn't coach, and it really just came down to me being an idiot and not knowing how to draft a team. It also, there were some injuries in there, so I'm not gonna act like injuries weren't a part of it, but they happened to everybody. This year they just happened to me. And to get things started on breaking down the season about why I sucked, my team, I really didn't think it was that bad at the beginning of the year, if I'm being completely honest. I was putting a lot of faith in the Bears, which is not a very good strategy when you're talking about football, at least. But yeah, I drafted from quarterback to kicker, then down to my bench. I had Justin Fields, Nick Chubb, Cam Akers, Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley, DJ Moore. I had the 49ers defense, and Cameron Dicker was my kicker. On the bench, we had Isaiah Pacheco. I drafted Kyle Pitts for some reason. I don't know. I wanted to avoid him. I just didn't think they would use him properly, considering they didn't in the past few years. I didn't think that would really change this year. I just drafted him because he fell to, gosh, what round? Let me check what round I got him in. I drafted him 90th, so that's like the turn at the 9th round, and I was like, whatever. If he does get used properly, he'll be good. Like, that's a great 9th round pick. But yeah, I dropped him. Nobody picked him up. It's just how the way of the road, I guess. I had Michael Thomas. I had Tua for my emergencies, just in case Fields didn't pan out, which he didn't. And then I drafted Zeke, just because the Patriots fan in me wanted me to. But yeah, looking at that on paper, that sounded like such a good team at the beginning of the year, especially with like how much hype the Bears had gotten in the preseason. Like, even in the preseason, I didn't really understand the hype necessarily. Justin Fields had that one really good preseason game, and he had the 2 touchdowns where he threw like screen passes, I think. Like, I remember one, it was a bad ball on the screen. He threw a bad ball on the screen, and DJ Moore took it to the house. And I drafted DJ Moore because I thought he was going to be the focal point of the offense, which, he kind of was. I don't know if their offense really had a focal point. It was that bad. But, yeah. On paper, I liked having Fields as my quarterback. Nick Chubb has consistently been a beast in his career. Nobody could predict that his knee was going to explode this year. Cam Akers, I don't know. I thought he was going to be all right. I knew the coaching staff didn't seem to really like him exactly in LA, or he didn't like LA. I don't know what the issue was there. Maybe he's just a bum. But I drafted Devontae Adams, always solid. Devontae Smith, I wasn't really high on him, but I figured maybe they'll use him. Jalen Hurts, I thought was gonna have a pretty good year. I don't know anything about ball. I proved that a couple times. DJ Moore, already said my piece on him. Calvin Ridley had such a good first week, and it made me so happy about drafting him in the 5th round, I believe it was. Yeah, 5th round, and no, 3rd. That was 31st pick, so 10, 1st, 2nd, 4th round I drafted him in. And as you can see, I have money Calvin Ridley as my biggest bust of the year. And that, honestly, like, he had a solid year. He just didn't produce like I needed a 4th, 5th round pick to produce. Niners defense, you can't really... I mean, they were the 8th ranked defense. Pretty sure I kept them all year. I might not have. I don't remember. Dicker ended up being a solid enough kicker. Kickers are so hit or miss in fantasy, it doesn't really matter. Pacheco wasn't even a starter on my team at the beginning of the year, and he ended up being running back 15 in my league, which, great. That's awesome. That's a good pick for me there. Talked about Kyle Pitts. Michael Thomas was fairly solid for like 5 catches, 50 yards a game. And if he would just score a dang touchdown, he would have been good. But he had double-digit points, a ton, during this year. And which, not great, but you throw a touchdown in those games, and he's putting up like wide receiver 2 numbers, borderline wide receiver 1, depending on how strong the wide receiver class was. Which I don't really know how much it was. I was so bad this year that I was bad, the Patriots were bad, I just didn't care about football as much this year. It sucked. Tua ended up starting games for me at quarterback. He was alright. Zeke, I think I dropped. Week 1, I lost by 1.72 points, and Justin Fields threw an interception that game. So Justin Fields doesn't throw a pick. I start 1-0. Fields had 14, Chubb 17, Ridley had 24. Wasted one of his really good games. The other team had Eckler and Tony Pollard get him 48, but it was 126 to 125. We just kind of put up solid points. If I would have started Tua, I would have won. If I would have started really anybody on my bench over DJ Moore, I would have won. But hindsight, I'm not going to do any of that. If he would have started Darnell Mooney, he would have kicked my ass, or Jordan Addison. But whatever, you can't really make that like hindsight stuff, whatever. But Justin Fields doesn't throw an interception. I win. So that's why we lost that week. 0-1, got throttled the next week. That was the week that Chubb got hurt. Yeah. Mike Evans, 6 catches, 171 yards, and a touchdown against me. George Pickens, 4 for 127 and a touchdown. Devontae Adams and Devontae Smith put up big games for me. DJ Moore had a solid game. Just wasn't enough. Derrick Henry had 18. Bijan had 20. Herbert had 22. Just got waxed by a better team that week. My 2nd round pick goes down for the season. Everything starts to look downhill. So that week, I traded Devontae Adams for Derrick Henry straight up. And my league mates, who I'm pretty sure are the only people listening to this anyways, did not like that trade. And at the end of the day, Henry was running back 8, and Devontae was wide receiver 10. So it was basically a flip-flop. With the moves I made later in the year, I guess I didn't really have to make that trade, and I could have stayed stronger at wide receiver since I ended up picking up Jerome Ford. Yeah, the additions to the team that week were Derrick Henry and Jerome Ford. So I could have gotten away with not trading for Derrick Henry, but I don't really regret doing it. I mean, I finished last, so I guess I should. This week I lost 106 to 119. The Buffalo defense, that's the week they played Washington. They had 4 interceptions, a fumble recovery, 3 points allowed, a touchdown, and 9 sacks. So it's pretty tough to overcome 31 from the defense. If his defense puts up a normal week, I beat him, even though Henry only had 2 points. Tua had 28 for me. Jerome Ford ended up with 19 points. He also only had 18 yards rushing, so that's kind of funny. But I mean, I should have won this game. Kelsey had a touchdown for him, and that was his. Trevor Lawrence threw 1 touchdown. Kelsey had a touchdown, and the Buffalo defense had 31. That's really all that beat me was the Buffalo defense that week. So I'm 0-3 now, and I easily could have been 2-1, and that's just fantasy football. Week 4, I played a team that put up 181 on me, and you're just not going to win that. And it sucks because I put up 147 that week. Like, my team was good. Fields had 28 points. Pacheco had 25. Henry had 24. DJ Moore had 27. But I was going up against the Dallas defense getting 26. Stephon Diggs having 36. And Josh Allen having 36.5. I got beat by basically 3 people this game. Well, 2 players and a defense, and Ayuk had a normal Ayuk game. 20 points. But yeah, that's just one of those fantasy football weeks where you get beat by a better team. And I could have started Devon A-Chain over Jerome Ford, but pretty sure that was A-Chain's first game. No, that was the week after he put up 51. I thought that was just kind of a fluke because they ran it up on Denver. I didn't know he was going to be a 20-point scorer. Pretty much most of the weeks he played, he put up 20 points. But, I don't know. Yeah, I just got beat by a better team that week. There's not a whole lot you can do. That team that beat me that week ended up going on to win the league. Shout out, Never a Doubt is his name, I guess, right now. At that time, it was This Sucks because he had so many injuries on his team. Yeah, let's check his team out. From week 1, he lost J.K. Dobbins and Mike Williams. Or when did Mike Williams get hurt? Mike Williams got hurt week 3. So he lost him week 3. Yeah, I guess. He lost Dobbins week 1. Yeah, he just drafted a crazy team, and I don't want to stroke his already massive ego anymore, but yeah, congrats. I'll go over his team at the end a little bit. Wow, I'm just now kind of looking at it. Like I said, I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention this year because I was so bad, and it just pissed me off every time I opened the app. Week 5, we got our first win, and we really earned it that week. 165 points. We gave up 154, so Jamar Chase putting up 52 points against me. I remember looking at this game thinking, I'm going to lose to just Jamar Chase. And, I mean, if he gets a decent game out of James Conner, like 2 touchdowns somehow peppered in there, random James Conner game, he wins. Chris Olave has more than 2 catches. He could have won this game. But just a great performance here. I didn't start Justin Fields this week because I thought Tua was going to light up the Giants, and he did all right, but he threw 2 picks. But I had Justin Fields on my bench have 33 points. And, yeah, man, if I would have started him, this would have been really close. Or it wouldn't have been really close. But huge game from DJ Moore, 8 catches, 230, and 3 touchdowns. I remember watching that, like, holy shit, we're finally going to win. The world's ending. Yeah, Kyle Pitts had a really good game that week. 7 catches for 87 yards. I'd take that if I would have had to start him. But, yeah, A-Chain had 21. San Francisco defense had 18. I had Fairbairn as my kicker that week. He put up 15. Devontae Smith had 1.6. He puts up like a normal Devontae Smith game. I put up like 175 points that week. I would have been feeling all right about my team after that. And at this point, I wasn't really panicking because I had just scored a bunch of points. I barely lost 2 games. So I'm 1-4, but there were other teams kind of close to me, and I wasn't too worried. I certainly didn't think that I was going to finish last. I believed in my fantasy football skills a little bit more than I probably should have. I'm going to have a whole new strategy next year. I'm not going to get into it yet. Maybe if I have some time to kill at the end, I will. But anyways, back to the review. This week, I played my dreaded rival, Disney. There's not much of a rivalry. He beats me every time we play. Yeah. Justin Fields, that was the week he got hurt against Minnesota, and he had 4.9 points. So I put up 89 points, and I lost 89-91. So this was a winnable game if I start Tua, which, I don't know, I was feeling confident about Fields. He just had a couple back-to-back good weeks, and then he gets hurt. Like, if he doesn't get hurt, I win this game. Actually, I don't know. I think he played, like, a half. If he could have just got 2 more points before getting hurt, I won this game. I lost because Josh Downs had a touchdown. That was the only person not named Patrick Mahomes to score on his team. Justin Tucker had 18. That hurt. My leading scorer was Henry with 19. But yeah, I start Tua. He has 22. I don't know. That was a tough week. It was at this moment that I started to kind of panic. The next week, I lost 99 to 124. Played Tyreek Hill. That wasn't a good thing to hear all year. He had 26 against me. Jalen Hurts, 23. San Francisco's defense put up -3 against Minnesota. My best player this week was Dustin Hopkins, the kicker, put up 22. Pacheco had 16, but yeah, that was just another week where we got shellacked. I mean, anybody that I play... Oop, hit my desk. Anybody that I play isn't going to be able to outscore this guy. I got beat. Happens. Not a whole lot I can talk about there. This next week we got ran off the field again. 180 to 111, and at this point I realized that I was going to take last. I think I had a 2-game grip on it maybe at this point, or it was still really close. I don't know. I'm trying to forget this season. But yeah, Dak had 28, CD had 41. Both his running backs had 27 and 30. Saquon and Deontay Johnson had 16. I had 23 out of Devontae Smith. Not could have did there. I mean, he could have even scored more points, which is the crazy thing. If he would have started Amari Cooper over Jacoby Myers, he'd have had 12 more points. It's wild. I made all the right starts. Chuba Hubbard could have been put in over Pacheco, but why would I do that? So at this point, we are 1-3. We're 1-7, and I know I'm taking less at this point. And I don't know when we fully confirmed that the podcast was going to be the punishment, but it was after the season had started, and this punishment was my idea, which is what makes me really sad. Because I knew this was going to be a pain in the ass. Like, it doesn't sound that bad, but it's such a pain in the ass. I did all my research today. I'll get into it. But the next week, 94 to 100, we lost. Yeah, Pacheco only had 6 points. DJ Moore only had 5. Joe Burrow had 22. Smoking that Joe Burrow. The Raiders had 18 points as a defense, which is something you don't fucking hear. The Raiders. Raiders defense. 1-8. This next week, I got beat fucking 73 to 151. What was I doing? I started Taysom Hill. Oh, I had a bunch of people on bye. Tua, A-Chain, Pacheco, and Devontae Smith were all on bye. Fields was hurt. Started Will Levis at quarterback, got me 5 points. Holy crap. I think I smoked too much of that Joe Burrow that week. Wow. No wonder I finished last. I'm putting that team out on... I think I remembered that week I was either going to put up no points or I was going to put up a ton. I think it was after Will Levis had a... Yeah, it was the game after Will Levis's debut where he had 4 touchdowns against Atlanta. It's like, hey, maybe it's new rookie sensation. Nope. It's just Will Levis. Mayo coffee. Sam Howell had 24 against me. Keenan Allen had 40. Tank Dell. Rip. I have him in Dynasty. Was so sad he got hurt. I was very high on him. We're 1-9. I got another win. We were 2-9 after this week. 123 to 116. I started Josh Dobbs at quarterback. Calvin Ridley had 31. DJ Moore had 22. Devontae Smith had 16. He had a bad week from his running backs. Keaton Mitchell and Aaron Jones combined for less than 8. Sam Laporta had 7. Herbert had a good game, and Devontae Adams had a pretty good game against me, but DK had 20. His kicker had 15, so it was close. I was mad at Pacheco, so I didn't start him, and they were playing Philly. I didn't think Fields would do anything coming back, so we went with Dobbs for another spark. We got a spark that week. We got a win. The week after that, we improved to 3-9, and I was starting to think that maybe, just maybe, I was going to make a comeback just to not finish last, and we'd end up with somebody else making this podcast. But we'll get into it. I started Dobbs again that week, and he had 4 interceptions. Put up 4.5. CJ Stroud had 30 against me. I won this game, 154 to 100. Calvin Ridley, 22 points. DJ Moore, 22. Devontae Smith, 23. Pacheco, 26. New England defense, 13. Matt Gay, 10. Just a good performance by the supporting cast when QB1 wasn't really living up to what QB1 should do. We're 3-9. Got back to losing in week 13. And I lost that week because Trevor Lawrence had 25. Nico Collins had 34. And I say that in that tone, but he was the 12th best receiver this year, so my apology, Nico Collins. You did not deserve my hate. Pacheco had 21 for me. Henry had 25. Devontae Smith had 25. Everyone else was booty. I picked up Zach Moss. Completely out of the playoffs. I pick up Zach Moss. Try and screw over the... Stick it to the man, you know? And, yeah, he rewarded me by putting up less than 8 points both weeks, I believe. Less than 10 points both weeks. But this week, yeah, 143 to 137 loss. Tough one. If I would have won this game, I would have tied for last place, and I think I would have went to points scored no matter what happened the last week. And I had the guy who finished in second to last in points scored. I think. I'll check it out once I get through all the game reviews. The last week I played the league champion again. He had Cooper Kupp. He had 25.5. Like I said, Zach Moss let me down. Matt Gay put up -1. He missed an extra point and a field goal. I didn't start Jerome Ford, who would have got me 5 more points. I mean, I wasn't going to do anything. But yeah, I was officially in last place. I was a last place finisher, and I responded to that by not even participating in the losers bracket. I benched everybody on my team. You can't really see it, but I benched everybody after their piss poor performances on the year. And yeah, so we'll cover up the. That's why I sucked this year. I went through every game. all my players. My biggest bust was Calvin Ridley because he was my fourth to fifth round. I think we said fourth earlier, but he was my fourth round pick, and yeah, he just didn't perform. He was like a wide receiver 4, wide receiver 3 maybe. Let me check really quick. You could say it was Nick Chubb. Oh, he ended up wide receiver 18 at the end of the year. Unless that's... Yeah, he was wide receiver 18 at the end of the year, so he ended up being pretty good. It was just his... When he was bad, he was bad. And then when he was good, he just flashed for really, really high numbers. That's why his point total was so good. But injuries were really my biggest bust. I mean, Fields was looking good in the year. He was having a bad game. The game he got hurt, but he got hurt after 2 promising games. That messes with the flow. And, hey, Fields doesn't get hurt. He's probably not getting replaced by Caleb Williams because maybe he continues to go. But I do think they're going to go with Caleb Williams. Washington will trade up. It's my pick. And this take will probably age like milk, like most of my takes do. But, yeah. That was the season for me. That's why I was bad. It all came down to I suck. I mean, I suck at fantasy football. I suck at fantasy football. I didn't have much better luck in my other league. We have a 4-man league where I also took last place. Last year it was your favorite team. This year the theme of it was your least favorite team. And Sam kind of ruined that because he wasn't there for the draft and he got auto-drafted all the best players. So yeah, Sam, you're a bum. I know you're listening. But yeah. The playoff bracket, the number 1 seed was 12-2. Number 2 seed realistically should have been the guy who won the league because he was 9-5, and the 2 seed was 8-6, but they get the bye. The 3 seed was the champion. He knocked out the 6 seed 120-89. The 5 seed 5 seed beat the 4 seed in the playoffs 159-110. The next week the 1 seed beat the 5 seed 147-111. The 3 seed beat the 2 seed 108-102. And then in the championship game, it wasn't even close. The 3 seed won. Josh Allen had 21. Travis Etienne had 25. And yes, sir, man, I don't know what I'm talking about. I was going to say, sorry, Colda, that I'm making you listen to your downfall, but I'm not sorry. This whole 2-hour podcast is about my downfall. So, yeah, shout out Colda, by the way, for his fantasy football. He was last place last year, and he went 5-9, which really isn't even that bad. He got last place last year after winning the league the first year, and got back to the championship this year. So, he's experienced the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. That's for sure. Yeah, Ayuk had 24. Fairbairn had 16. Fairbairn was on my team, so one of my guys got a ring. Chuba Hubbard was also on my team at some point in the year, so that's another one of my guys to get a ring. Yeah. As we wrap up the fantasy football segment, we are already a half hour in, and I'm kind of surprised how much time I was able to, take up with that, but whatever. We're gonna get into some league questions coming up, but yeah, I'm looking forward to a better season next year. Yeah, just hopefully injuries don't get me. I'm in a weird place with my dynasty football league. I don't know what I'm gonna do there. I'm kind of in purgatory. I just traded the farm for Mahomes, and we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. On to better things in 2024. And hopefully, whatever the league punishment is next year, we're not going to have to worry about it anymore. It won't be our thing. I did recommend earlier, a couple weeks ago, maybe, that I wanted it to be like a hot ones thing where you like have to do a challenge which with each of the hot ones sauces. I think that'd be cool. But we'll decide on that as a league. Like I said, we didn't have our pick until our pick of what the punishment was this year until the season had already started. And yeah, so now let's get into some league questions. This is I think the guys could have did better. To be brutally honest, I think we could have done better with the topics. One of the league mates did not pick a topic, so I chose one for him. It would have been one of mine had I not finished last, and I would have made someone else talk about it. But, anyways, our first question is from Eddie, who finished second to last. And his question was, why are each of Tom Brady's rings fraudulent? I say this as I'm wearing a Tom Brady jersey because if there's anybody watching this for any reason that doesn't know me, I'm a Patriots fan. Tom Brady is the greatest football player to have ever lived. And he's an ultimate winner, and none of his rings are fraudulent. But I digress. And we'll get into the first Super Bowl. That was the one against the Rams the first time, back in 2001. They beat the greatest show on turf. And they really shouldn't have been there in the first place. Because I think in the... I'm going to look it up really quick. But I think in the divisional round, they played the Raiders, and Tom Brady was sacked by Charles Woodson. Yeah, it was the divisional round. Tom Brady was sacked by Charles Woodson in the closing moments of the fourth quarter of the game, and as the play happened, he was going forward with his arm, and he kind of like pulled it down and then got hit, and he fumbled. And it was a fumble. Tom Brady will say it's a fumble. And, I mean, I wasn't old enough to watch this at the time, but it was a fumble from what I'd seen. As somebody who almost exclusively played defense when they played football in high school. Yeah, peaked in high school, the glory days. But it was a fumble. And the Patriots should have lost that game. I mean, at the time of that call, it was the closing moments of the fourth quarter, and then Vinatieri tied the game, and the Raiders ended up winning in overtime. Or I don't know if I just said the Raiders won in overtime. The Patriots won in overtime, and then they went on to win the AFC Championship game against the Steelers. And then they beat the Rams. So they shouldn't have been there. Doesn't count. Tom Brady has no rings, in my opinion. The next one, they played the Carolina Panthers, and the Jake Delhomme-led Carolina Panthers, who had Mushin Muhammad on their team, who I believe led the league in receiving that year. That was 2004 that he led the league, and then in 2003, that's when they made the Super Bowl, I believe. Let me check the year on that. Yeah, the 2003 season. So he wasn't the league leader in receiving at that time. But yeah, it was a really good game. That entire game, it was 32-29. There was a lot of offense. But that was just because the Panthers' defense wasn't really all that great. At least that's the narrative I'm pushing right now. And, yeah, Brady, Vinatieri merchant at this point in his career. Vinatieri makes the game-winning field goal. Then Yeah, he also made the field goal in the tuck rule game to send it to overtime. So Brady's a Vinatieri merchant. On to the next one. He was carried. This is when they beat the Eagles, and Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens played on a broken leg or something like that. Um, he got carried by his defense that game. I don't know what you want me to say. Deion Branch also carried him. Deion Branch, one of the most underrated receivers of all time. That's coming from a Patriots fan. This is a really fairly low scoring Super Bowl in my opinion, 24-21. Um, yeah, I mean, Rodney Harrison had 2 interceptions this game. Defense carried. Not a whole lot else you can do. The Eagles started slow and were consistent throughout the game, and it just came down to Brady once again being a Vinatieri merchant because Adam Vinatieri uh, kicked a 22-yard field goal with 8 minutes left. That ended up being the difference-making score. Um, the next one, Brady didn't win a Super Bowl for a while. He lost the undefeated season, so really is he the GOAT? Yes. But at this point in his career, he has no Super Bowl rings because none of the first 3 counted. And this next one, he plays the Seattle Seahawks. And that just comes down to Malcolm Butler making a good play and defensive coaching. I mean, a ton of stuff has come out in the past, however long it's been. I believe that was. I'm not even going to pretend I know what year that was. But in that time frame, it's come out that the coaches worked on that play and that look, that quick slant at the goal line. And I shit you not, I watched this game with my mom and my stepdad, so they're the only ones that can vouch for this, and I guarantee they don't remember it. But I said, watch the quick slant. It's too obvious that they're going to hand the ball to Marshawn Lynch. They're going to try and be too cute. So that's just like one of the first examples of me really knowing ball. I called that play. The Seahawks were stupid. Malcolm Butler made a great play. The Patriots coaching staff did great. Yeah. Julian Edelman caught the winning touchdown. So Malcolm Butler doesn't make that play. Pete Carroll's not an idiot. They give the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Brady doesn't have a ring at this point. He's 0 for 6 in the Super Bowl. Or 0 for 2, depending on if you count these as losses if these things don't happen or if they just don't count. So yeah, no Super Bowls at this point. And they go to play the Falcons. And the 28-3 game, some call it the greatest comeback in history. I call it the greatest collapse in history. The Patriots had no business winning that game. They lost it. They didn't win that game. The Cardinals lost that game. Pussy play calling by Kyle Shanahan. Dan Quinn. Let's leave it at that. Dan Quinn. New coach of the Commanders. Weirdly enough. But yeah, Julian Edelman made that really great catch that shouldn't have been a completion. Yeah, shouldn't have happened. Didn't count. 0 for 5. 0 for 7 at this point. 0 for 8 maybe. I don't remember if they played the Falcons or the Eagles first. But anyways. The Rams Super Bowl didn't count because the defense carried. They only allowed three touchdowns. Or no, 3 touchdowns. I'm stupid. 3 points to the Rams, which people were calling the best offense in the league, the brightest young play caller. And, yeah, Belichick, masterclass. Gronk made a great catch at the end of that game. So, yeah, it didn't count. 6 Super Bowl wins that don't count. The last one was the COVID season. It was a home game. The NFL was trying to push the narrative of Brady being able to win without Belichick. And, yeah, they were just trying to paint Brady as the official golden boy of the league at this point. And he didn't really deserve the win. Mahomes' old line sold on him. Brady just had to do get the ball to his playmakers, which he had enough of them at that point. And, yeah, I don't know, man. In my eyes, Tom Brady does not have any Super Bowl rings. He's lost a couple of them, but he's got 7 wins that don't really count. And on that note, I feel horrible after that segment. Now that that's over, all of Tom Brady's wins count. He is the GOAT, and you cannot change my mind. But yeah, the next one was supposed to be Bender's topic, but he didn't give me one and told me I could just kind of pick one on my own. So this was going to be one of mine for potential last plays. It was the NFL mock draft, first round. Give me yours. Except instead of football players, use celebrities. And some of these don't make a whole lot of sense. I was kind of blanking on celebrities for a lot of them, but I've got a couple good reasons for a few of them, and hopefully they'll make sense. First off, Chicago Bears. They are bad. They're historically bad, and they're still a popular team because they're Chicago and they rely on their brand. And who else to promote a brand, since they don't care about football, but a brand? They're taking Taylor Swift to play quarterback, number 1. Yep, all the Swifties are Bears fans now, just like that. She's playing quarterback. The Commanders, they are going to be the opposite of the Bears. They're going to take a football guy. They're going to take somebody who has experience leading a football team, at least in Hollywood, and a real team-first guy. He gets his guys the ball. They're taking James Vanderbeek to play quarterback because he didn't play college football. He went on to go to Brown in Varsity Blues, but he cares about his team. He cares about the game. The Patriots at number 3, they're taking Tom Brady because at this point he's a celebrity, and they're taking Tom Brady to relive the glory days forever, and he'll never leave us. And the Cardinals, Peter Dinklage, wide receiver. Kyler would be a better quarterback if he didn't have the little man complex, and they really need to get that out of there, so they're going to take somebody shorter than Kyler. Dinklage is going to be out there running the slot. Get him and Hollywood Brown cooking. You got a nice little 1-2 punch. The Chargers, Jim Harbaugh is a football guy. He likes football guys, and he will draft a football guy, and that is Kenny Chesney. He's going to play tight end. I feel like Kenny Chesney would be able to play a little bit of tight end. In New York Giants style, they're going to take a mediocre presence, but he's a big name and everybody knows him. They're going to take Vin Diesel to play linebacker. And, Vin Diesel, linebacker. He's going to wear number 94. I don't know why, but 94 for the Giants. Wait, was that Lawrence Taylor something? No, that was 56. Shows how little ball I know. But, the Titans need to beef up that offensive line. I think everybody knew Lizzo was going to be the first offensive lineman off the board. Taking Lizzo number 7. Lizzo down in Nashville. Maybe she'll get into some country music. We'll start seeing some country pop. And it would have made sense to put her on the Vikings so she could be with her new man. But they weren't able to trade up for all that. The Falcons, they're going to take an Atlanta legend, Samuel L. Jackson. He's hard-hitting and intimidating, hard-nosed, really going to set the tone on defense. And he's a Falcons fan, so he really pushed ownership into taking him there. The Bears, now they're going to make kind of a football move. This one might kind of hurt the brand, and Swifties definitely aren't going to like him. But they're going to take Gary Busey at edge rusher because he is insane. And he's going to get after the quarterback, and he's not going to quit, and he's going to have, like, Busey-isms or whatever about how he rushes the quarterback. I can't do a Gary Busey impression. I'm not going to pretend like I can. The Jets are going to take Josh World of T-Shirts Block to play quarterback, just to keep the captain in New York. He's not scared of the New York media, like Billy Football seems to think that that's why New York Jets quarterbacks are bad. But yeah, the Jets are going to make a terrible pick here. Keep the captain in New York, whatever. The Vikings are going to take a literal Viking and draft Chris Hemsworth. Um, they might ask him, or he might ask them if he can play with the hammer, just kind of for the. I don't know. But it's more than likely that he's not going to be a great edge rusher, and he's just going to end up replacing Victor as mascot. But they're still going to take him, and who knows? Maybe it'll help. There's probably other holes on the Vikings, but they take the Viking. The Broncos are going to stick with the team theme here. They're going to take Justify at running back. That is the last horse to win the Triple Crown. Yeah, he's still alive. He's still kicking. He's the best horse alive right now in terms of accolades. So, Justify. 12th pick to the Broncos. The Raiders are going to do a typical Raider thing here and draft somebody young who's probably peaked already, and they're going to take Gatton Matarazzo. I think that's how you pronounce that. The dude from Stranger Things. Yeah, I think he peaked already. I don't know. I didn't watch Stranger Things. Sorry. The Saints are going to take Kevin James. Get a little bit of brand recognition out there. They can beef him up again. He was a beast, and here comes the boom. He can bring that to the football field. The Colts are going to get a real physical cornerback that's not scared to get in the face, play some press coverage, shit talk the wide receivers. They're taking Kodak Black to play corner. The Seahawks are going to take Brendan Fraser for the same reason that Geno Smith plays. People kind of gave up on him early in his career after some success early on in other places, but they gave up on him, and they revived his career. Brendan Fraser kind of did the same thing with the Whale. He's going to get up to that weight to play O-line. The Jaguars are moving to London, so they're going to draft Killian Murphy. Although I think he's Irish. Is he not? Yeah, he's Irish. But the Peaky fucking Blinders. And yeah, whatever. The Bengals are going to draft Lisa Ann to play wide receiver because after T. Higgins leaves, they're going to need somebody to catch Burrow's balls. And she is a great wide receiver. The Rams already took this guy a couple years ago. They took Jared Goff, but now they're going to take his clone, Ryan Gosling, because he's basically Jared Goff. And why not have Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff when you traded one for the other, when you could get both? Next, the Steelers are going to take Channing Tatum at wide receiver because he looked really good in 22 Jump Street. The game slowed down for him. He was the best player on the field. Him and Zook were a lethal combo. Dolphins are also going to take a hometown guy, much like Atlanta did. They're going to take DJ Khaled to beef up that O-line. He's already in Miami. We the best! Oh, that's a bad DJ Khaled. Yeah, DJ Khaled. Vibes. Vibes, too. Ultimate vibes guy. The Eagles are going to take, like the Falcons and the Dolphins, a Philly legend. They're going to take Sylvester Stallone to play D-line because he's just not going to quit against bigger people. I mean, Clubber Lang, Apollo Creed, Drago, all those guys are way bigger than Rocky, but he's undersized. He's going to get to the quarterback. The Texans are going to take a Hemsworth. They're going to take Liam because they are the little brother to the Cowboys, and they're not as popular as the big brother, like Liam is to Chris, so they're going to keep that alive, draft him. The Cowboys are going to take Tom Hanks at running back because he was Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump can run, and he was big in the 90s. Cowboys were big in the 90s. We got to hurry up here, so we're going to kind of go into overdrive. The Packers are going to take Bert Kreischer because he can drink and he will fit in Wisconsin. He'll be a fan favorite. The Bucks are going to take Al Pacino at quarterback because he's old, he should retire, but he's still great and he'll probably still win. Just like I'll see a movie and I'll be like, yeah, Al Pacino's in it. It's got to be good. Anyways, the Cardinals are going to take Lawrence Taylor. Yes, the Giants legend. They're going to get him all hopped up on cocaine in the desert, and he's going to revive his career. The Bills are going to draft Steve-O because he'll do anything, and they need a receiver since Stephon Diggs is horrible now. Steve-O fits in great with Bills Mafia. The Lions are going to draft Adam Sandler in a steal here. They're going to take him at edge, and he's going to channel his Bobby Boucher, and he's going to be unstoppable. Because remember when Bobby Boucher came back at halftime and the Mud Dogs won the Bourbon Bowl, did ya? The Ravens are going to take Stavros Halkas. Ravens legend, dies hard. Something about Flacco. The Chiefs are going to take Chiefsaholic, finally free him, get him officially part of the team, pay his lawyer fees, and the Niners are going to take a Bay legend in E40 to beef up that line. Bang, bang, Niner gang. And in this situation, or this scenario, I have the Niners winning the Super Bowl. And we're just going to say the Niners win the Super Bowl 31-17. All right, on to segment 3. This question is... This one is... I'm sorry. This is the worst question out of all of them. It was Barney in the wrong? And, like, there's a rumor going around that Barney swore on television or something like that. It never happened. Find me the video. I looked for at least a half hour earlier. I couldn't find it. That never happened. It's just a rumor. There were a lot of lawsuits because in 97 there was this like comic thing or comic strip thing that kept depicting Barney as getting like beat up and stuff, so they sued him. I'd say using Barney and making him beat up, he's just there for the kids, trying to make them have a good time. I'm not saying that any children's show things are in the wrong. They provide entertainment. I know parents don't necessarily enjoy Barney, but that's just because their kids watch so much of it. But at the end of the day, that means it did its job, and it was just a TV show. So, I mean, Barney, like I said, he never swore in there, and the creators did sue. They sued people who didn't, or who used Barney in a negative way, which they should. They have that right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I'm supposed to pull 10 minutes of this out of my ass. So I wrote down a couple other things. The type of Barney was never specified. I'm only assuming that he meant the purple dinosaur. But there's plenty of Barneys out there. And I'm sure you can say that some of them were in the wrong for certain things. The most obvious one being Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother. Yeah, I mean, he lied, manipulated, and used women for their bodies, and did a lot of horrible things. There's a whole episode of How I Met Your Mother where they, like, go through March Madness style of all the women that Barney is wronged because there's one going around telling people that Barney is an awful person, which he is. I mean, he's done awful things to all these women. So, this Barney, I would say, is in the wrong. But at the end of the series, he kind of shapes up. Like, he ends up having a kid, and it's implied that he is a good father. But, I mean, nobody takes the end of How I Met Your Mother really seriously. The last season didn't need to happen. Could have ended in some other way. Spoiler alert, but actually, I don't give a shit. It's been out for over 10 years. Ted didn't need to end up with Robin in the end of it. That's who's in the wrong. Fucking whoever created that shit. Not Barney. Not the purple dinosaur. Maybe Barney Stinson. Barney Rubble. That's another one of the Barneys I can think of. He's just kind of dopey. I mean, he's Fred Flintstone's best friend. I know there's a Family Guy skit where Fred sees Barney's wife changing or something like that, and she doesn't stop after he saw him. And I wouldn't say Barney's in the wrong there either. So I would say more often than not, Barneys are not in the wrong. But it all depends. I mean, they all do wrong things. Everybody does wrong things. For the most part, though, no. Barney's not in the wrong. I still have 6 more minutes to talk about this shit. I don't know. This is a tough topic. I was really hoping for more creativity. This was one of the first topics given to me, too. Shame. I guess Barney had the catchy theme song, the I love you, you love me. I don't really know how that goes because of all the schoolyard rhymes where it's like, I chased Barney up a tree. And then I've heard one where it's like shot him in the ass with a 44. No more big fat dinosaur. Kind of bars for some schoolyard rhymes. I remember the first time I heard that one. I was in the bathroom at a different school when I was in like middle school, or not middle school, like late elementary school. It was during basketball, and some like kid younger than me went into the bathroom and was like singing that, and I was like, interesting, and it's been a part of my memories ever since. It's stored in one of the wrinkles in my brain, if that's how that works. My glasses look really cool with this how this camera. It's like I feel like I'm in a. You can wonder if you can see what I'm looking up. I can see my face in there. It's just Cillian Murphy. Yeah. Um, I guess Barney and Robin. The one time Barney was in like a committed relationship and whatnot, he cheated on Nora with Robin, but they ended up getting married. So at the end of the day, was it really that? Yes, it was bad. Cheating's never okay. Not justifying cheating, but so Barney's in the wrong there. He's in the wrong for manipulating all those women. I think one of the women he left in the middle of the woods camping and stole her truck. Canonically, Barney Stinson is a horrible person, but he makes me laugh. And today, I know my friends and I have talked about this, but Barney Stinson would not be able to be a character in a show today. But can you really say that? Maybe not in a mainstream show like How I Met Your Mother was, where it was on network television, but if How I Met Your Mother or How I Met Your Father wasn't such a garbage show, and if I could get past the first 5 minutes without cringing, I'm sure if it was like picked up by a streaming site like Amazon, they could make him even worse. Like they could have Barney do some fuck shit, even though it is implied in the show that he sold a woman while playing a game or something like that. I believe that was the one of the things. He put Marshall up as collateral, so I guess we do see him do that and show he's willing to go to those measures. Any other Barneys out there? Darwin Barney. He was a second baseman for the Cubs in the mid 2000s, maybe late 2000s, mid 2010s is what I meant to say. Sick fielder, great fielder, couldn't hit worth a shit. I watched a lot of Cubs baseball when I was growing up. Darwin Barney was my mom's favorite player when she met my stepdad because she thought Darwin Barney was cute. I think that's what it was. I remember it was Darwin Barney and Randy Wells, but we actually had a cat and we named him Barney, but he meowed too much, so he was given back to my grandma, and he was spraying everywhere. I don't know, we could have just got him neutered or something. I don't know, I was 10, I don't remember. But, that Barney wasn't in the wrong. I wouldn't say Darwin Barney was in the wrong either. He was a good fielder. Let me look up his stats really quick. I want to say he was like a Gold Glover. Did Darwin Barney win a Gold Glove? Awards. He didn't. Yeah, he did. 2012. He was a Gold Glover. And he hit 250. It wasn't that bad of a contact hitter. He didn't really have much of an OPS in his career, so he was kind of garbage in that sense. So he was in the wrong there, but I wouldn't think so. He put up a solid enough season. 2012. That's probably his best season when he won a Gold Glove. I remember he had like an insane errorless streak. And I think I was watching the game where it came to an end. But yeah, at that moment, Barney was in the wrong when he made that error. Errors are never good. Errors happen a lot in baseball, though, but they didn't happen with Barney. It was a one-off thing. He wasn't... We're going to say he wasn't in the wrong. Darwin Barney was a solid fielder. He wasn't in the wrong. So yeah, to recap, Barney Stinson, mostly in the wrong. Barney Rubble, not in the wrong. Purple Dinosaur, not in the wrong. Creators of the Purple Dinosaur, not even in the wrong. Darwin Barney, not in the wrong. Those are the only 4 Barneys I could really think of. And at that note, we are an hour into the pod. And this has gone easier than I thought it would. But now, of course, as I say that, we're going to get into some of the other ones. The next one is... I'm going to sound like a complete idiot in this next one because I have literally no clue what I am talking about with any of this stuff. I don't know anything about economics. I don't know anything about Rwanda. But we're talking about the economic condition in Rwanda. So if somehow this video makes it to Rwanda or clips of this video make it there, if I say anything wrong, please inform me. I don't want to be spewing uninformed stuff on the internet like I already have. So I guess, I don't know. If I say anything wrong, I apologize. But what I learned about Rwanda and its economic condition when I read from a couple of websites earlier, it's not as rich as its neighboring countries. I think it's the Democratic Republic of Congo or something like that. I just thought it was Congo. Shows how informed I am. But the Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania, Uganda, and Burundi are all more wealthy than Rwanda, apparently. And I'm kind of surprised to see Tanzania on that list because I remember back in middle school we were at a college as like a field trip thing, and there was a guy who was an anthropologist, and he like went to Tanzania, and he made it seem like the worst place on earth. But yeah, they have a vision to be a middle income country by 2036 and a high income country by 2050, and I don't necessarily know what qualifies somebody to be like, not somebody, like a country as middle income and what's high income, but I would assume that those are some pretty good goals. And I've heard they've like made, we'll get into it. They have seven strategies or something like that. I had a typo in my notes, so I don't really know what that says. But they crashed like everyone else did for COVID, but they rebounded really well. And the real GDP, which is like the value of goods and services for a country, I think that's kind of like the gist of what I read. I don't know. I dropped out of college for a reason. But the real GDP grew by 8.2% despite some struggles. And those struggles are like there's lots of public investment in the country, and they end up having to borrow a lot of money for some rich people or like rich investors in the country, whether that's like in Rwanda or from other countries or something like that. Once again, I have no idea what I'm talking about, but there's a lot of public investment and they borrow a lot. And their debt to GDP ratio was at 19.4% in 2010. And I think that is low. I think that means they don't have a lot of debt. But it's all the way up to 56.7 in 2019, and those are the most updated numbers that I could find with my very minor investigation that I did into it. I mean, I don't know where to look up economic stuff, so I just looked up random shit and whatever. But yeah, the poverty rate in Rwanda was 75.2% 20 years ago, and now it's 52%. So still over half of the country is in poverty, which is something that you never want to see. But it's going to happen. Like, there's poverty everywhere. Like, the poverty rate right now in the United States is 15%. So it's not going to be zero. Country with best poverty rate. No, I looked up the best ones, and it gave me like the ones with the most poverty. I don't want that. Luxembourg with 2.6%, Iceland 5.4%, Norway and Switzerland are all around 4. So yeah, like it's never going to be zero. There's going to be poverty everywhere. But they're working on that number and they're getting it down. So props to them. They use the Rwandan franc as their currency there. And if you've got any Rwandan francs laying around, it would take 1,262.86 Rwandan francs to equal $1. So if you have a lot of Rwandan francs, you don't have a lot of US dollars. But if you have a lot of US dollars, you have a ton of Rwandan francs. Like, hold on, let me look up, like, what's in this? Like, a loaf of bread. How much is a loaf? A loaf of bread in Rwanda is 124.5 Rwandan francs. No, 1,000. Some sell them for like 1,500 francs or 1,200 francs. That's a lot of francs. So I don't know. I don't know how easy francs are to get. You know, or if bread is like a delicacy. I don't know. I don't know anything about. I don't know anything about Rwanda. Um, a, a domestic beer is 1,000 Rwandan francs. So you can get a beer for less than $1 over there. That's kind of awesome. You can probably get some pretty hammered. Imported beer, which I'd assume I don't know where they import it from, but that's only 2,500 francs only. So that's like $2. $2 a beer. See, I remember I was listening to a podcast. I don't remember if it was PFT commentator or Billy Football that said you can tell how expensive a place is to live by how much a beer costs. And I'm assuming an imported beer is like a Coors Light. So a Coors Light being $2 there, it's like $3 here. I don't think that's as accurate. But for their domestic beer in Rwanda, I don't know. This isn't about beer. The richest person in Rwanda is Regis Rugamanshiro, and he's worth 108 million, and I'm pretty sure that's dollars. And my question there is, why are you still in Rwanda? Like, if I get wanting to help or not wanting to leave your family or something, but leave. You can afford to live anywhere with that money, and you pick Rwanda. I don't know. Whatever. Not my life. Rwanda is apparently one of the best luxury ecotourism places in the world. Um, don't know. Ecotourism. Form of tourism marketed as responsible travel to nature areas. I'm assuming you can go see lions and shit like that. You can go on safaris. Apparently, it's one of the best. Oh, gorillas? Volcanoes? Hey, yo. Chimpanzees? You can see monkeys. That's kind of hype. I wish I would have looked this up earlier. I'd have been able to talk about it better. But, yeah. You can go see, like, gorillas and chimps and stuff like that. Inflation fell from 101% in 96 to 1.1% in 2018. That's got to be good. I don't know anything about inflation, but the national budget's increased 14 times over the last 20 years. I feel like that should be more, but I don't know. They're ranked second in Africa. I don't know who ranked them, but they're second in Africa and the 39th easiest country in the world to do global business with. So they're pretty like good with business and stuff in Rwanda. It seems like they seem like they're on the path to being a solid country right now. They're among the top 10 global reformers amongst countries. They got a B plus in long term foreign currency issuing. I don't know what that means. And they're the least corrupt country in East Africa. So if you're trying to visit East Africa and not get robbed or something like that, it appears that you're not going to get like corruption or something in Rwanda if you go there. And I don't know how I talked about that for 10 minutes. But we're on to the next topic. And that is my favorite and least favorite sex positions. And I'm supposed to use contextual evidence. And I do not know what contextual evidence means in this sense. And out of respect for any partners that I have had in the past, I'm not going to talk about personal experiences. So I'm sorry if that's what you were looking for. And if that's what you wanted, bonk. Bonk. Honestly, bonk for this question and one that I'll get to later. Bonk. But, yeah. So, contextually, let's say the context of this, gosh. The context of this scenario would be like you just went out on like your year anniversary or whatever. You're on your year anniversary, you got some candles, you got like the rose petals, like your stereotypical movie date night. They're coming home and they're gonna get busy. I would say that for that situation, and contextually, my favorite position would be missionary because it's very, intimate. You get to I still have ecotourism in Rwanda pulled up, and that's just not fitting in with what's going on there. What I'm talking about. And so yeah, I'd say missionary for that would be my favorite because it's intimate. You get to look at each other's eyes and really really feel connected, as you are literally connected. And my least favorite in that scenario would probably be anyone that would feel like there's romantic positions and there's not. So I'll just come out and say it. Doggy in this scenario probably would not be the best. Like just absolutely going to town in the most brutal domination way possible. Which everybody's different with sex, but this is so awkward. If you're like having a one night stand or something like that, I would say you flip those. And you would say that doggy would be the best for that one because little to no feelings. There's no eye contact unless she's turning around. And I don't know, I feel like that's just your typical. I mean, the term's getting dogged for a reason. Oh man. Yeah, and then for the same reason that missionary is the best for the date, I would say it's the worst for a hookup unless you're like making out the whole time too. I can just feel my ancestors staring down on me talking about this, and I'm alone in my bedroom and I still feel so much shame. For a hookup, no, I'd say a bad one for a hookup's like 69ing. Or just like, I don't know, unless you really know the person, I feel like doing mouth stuff on a hookup's a little weird. I don't know. It seems easier to get an STD if you're like raw dogging mouth stuff than if you're just fucking, It's like anything mouth related, I'd feel would be one of my least favorites for a hookup, where I wouldn't want to do it. Um, um, just for if you're trying to bust out a quickie, I feel like it's whatever position you can get into the fastest and recover from the fastest. So that would be one where, like, standing doggy, like for a quickie. Doggy again, yeah, for a quickie, because you're just going as fast as you can and trying to finish for a quickie. But like I said, everybody's got their own preferences. This is hard, and I'm not going to talk about my own personal experiences. So yeah, um, if you're like, let's say you're celebrating something, like it's your it's your birthday and you're trying to get freaky. You and the missus pull out the old Kama Sutra book. And you start looking through and seeing if any funky positions catch your mind. I mean, you get some adventurous ones, but any reverse cowgirl type thing, that's the most popular position for penile breakage, is reverse cowgirl. So I'm scared to do that one. That's not something I would rank very high. I'd put that closer to the lowest of the spectrum, just for the sheer fact that you can break your weenie. And it's not even a bone, so I don't understand how it breaks necessarily. It kind of feels like it should be more of a tear. The penises are so fucking weird anyway. I don't know. I've got this Smirnoff Ice here that I have to drink eventually. And after this topic, I might have to go crank that out. I'm talking about sex, and I just used crank that out. But, I don't know, just, I feel like your basic ones, there's like the three basic positions. There's like the basic ones, and then there is like variants of those basic ones. And that's all these other like little sub positions are. Like you've got your basic missionary, and then you can do a bunch of stuff with like legs and really just like legs and arms and stuff. You can do stuff with it, and then you've got doggy style, and like you can do stuff with legs and positioning. You can get in the Jeff Bagwell position, a la Dave Portnoy, and you can really just go to town any way you damn well please in that type of position. And then there's the cowgirl, and its variants. More risk involved with those, as if it slips out and she comes down, that's another penile breakage. Like, that scares me. It would scare me. If you don't have, like, trust in your partner and what you're doing, it should scare you. Meeting some random girl, you don't know if she's ever done that before. She could break your weenie. Imagine having to end some random hookup because you fucking broke your dick. That's not happening in missionary. So at the end of the day, we're just gonna go with missionary. I'm really just trying to bleed out this last minute here. If you're like watching porn or something like that, I know I've read that like positions they do in porn aren't necessarily comfortable. So if you see one on a video, I've heard of people like watching porn as a couple to like strengthen their bond and try positions they see. I've heard those aren't really that great to do. They're just more for viewing pleasure. So like I guess if you're making a sex tape, you can use some of those, but the practicality, I mean, at the end of the day, as long as you and your lady friend nut, as long as both of you finish, doesn't matter what position you use. It's whatever you're feeling. It's all up to preference. Yeah, before that one, I'm gonna go off camera here for a second. Be right back. Ugh. I hope you can hear that in the background just because I think it'd be hilarious. But it's the first time I've ever had Smirnoff Ice out of a can. Not great. Thank God that one is over. Thank God. Now we're gonna get into one, and let me preface this by saying anybody who believes that 9/11 was an inside job, take off the tinfoil hat. You're stupid. Just people that look into government stuff in general. I wish I didn't know as much as I did. I don't need to know everything that's going on with the country. That's just my point of view for it. I'm just living here, man. Just living. But anyways, here's why 9/11 was an inside job. The inside traders knew. Like, there was a lot of people that, the article that I read said an extraordinary amount of put options were placed on it, were placed on United and American Airlines. Let me do a little Google search here. Put option are contracts that allow investors to sell a specific number of securities at a predetermined price within a specific time frame. So yeah, they were selling stuff, inside trading, selling stocks in these companies, getting out of there because they knew they were going to plummet after the planes got hijacked. So it was the inside traders. That's why 9/11 was an inside job. And also, we have NORAD. NORAD stands for North American Aerospace Defense Command, and you can like call in NORAD to shoot down planes. Apparently, NORAD didn't get told to shut down any of those planes, and I think I read something like they couldn't. Their explanation was they couldn't track them because the terrorists that hijacked it like broke the tracking stuff in them. And I could be wrong. I was on some tinfoil hat shit. I really hope I don't get put on a list for looking up all this stupid shit. But yeah, NORAD was told to stand down. They were. And the planes didn't make the towers collapse. There were bombs that were placed either on the planes. I saw this one theory that the planes were like holograms, as if they had technology good enough at this point for holograms to be placed over missiles that were like shot at the Twin Towers. And that was one of the stupidest theories. And I read a lot of stupid theories when I was doing this. Well, I skimmed a lot of stupid theories for this. But this one was really one of the only ones that I thought were like, hey, that's kind of a decent point. Because, like, sure, you can say bombs were placed in the tower, but, like, how would people not know it? I feel like the tower was open 24/7, and I wasn't even a year old at this time, so obviously I'm not going to know anything about the Twin Towers. I'm not a tinfoil hat person, so I don't read into all this shit. And yeah, this next one right here, the holes in the Pentagon were smaller than a commercial American Airlines plane. Why was the plane not shot down? And why did it only hit a section of the Pentagon vacant due to renovations? Like, that's maybe the only one that I'm thinking kind of like people could have a point in saying. And it'd be because, like, it did, like, apparently it only hit the section of the Pentagon that was vacant. If you're gonna make it hit something, why not make it hit this big government building that, like, where government people know government people are. If you're gonna have it hit that building, why not have it hit this vacant spot? And let me look up when did DC become a no-flying zone? 'Cause I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure DC is like a no-fly zone. And yeah, that was after the 9/11 attacks that DC became a no-fly zone, so you can't really... I mean, I can't use that, but if they knew these planes were hijacked or whatever and they saw them, and, like, the one plane wasn't... Like, if they grounded all aircraft and that one didn't listen, couldn't you know just to, like, shoot down that plane? I'm sure DC has that kind of shit. Like I said, I don't know. Don't care. I don't want to know. Another conspiracy theory that I saw was that Flight 93 landed safely, and then a substitute plane was shot out of the sky, and then all the people that were apparently on Flight 93, that's the plane that got shot down in, like, Pennsylvania or something like that. Apparently all those people got put into, like, witness protection or something like that, and that's just so stupid. People are so dumb. But people say that it, like, landed safely and a substitute plane was shot out of the sky, and then I read that people also said that the woman who took a picture of, like, the mushroom cloud that came up from the plane exploding when it hit the ground, like, she was saying that people were coming after her, that she edited that photo and she, like, doctored the photo up. It was fake. It wasn't real. They came after her. Like, I keep seeing news articles flash up on my thing, on my screen, and it's throwing me off. Like, that one was just a dog. It was cute. But yeah. Another one that I saw that held a little bit of weight was, like, how the terrorist passport survived the explosion. Because I read that they, like, found the terrorist passports as evidence for, like, who it was that allegedly did it. I mean, I can't say allegedly. They did it. But, yeah, I don't know how paper survives an airplane crashing. But apparently these did. They were made out of paper, as passports are. Another one that people like to say is that aluminum planes can't penetrate steel structure and that jet fuel can't melt steel beams. I remember that being a meme, like, when I first got an iPod, like, oh, jet fuel can't melt steel beams. Like, people would say that, and I had to look up what it meant, because I was like, what the hell are they talking about? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how fast planes go. I'm sure the speed and just the mass of it had to do with stuff. I don't really know how explosions work either, in general. Like, I don't know. I'm way too uninformed about the stuff to say anything. Like, I feel like just the weight of the plane, whether or not the outside of it is aluminum, the whole fucking plane's not aluminum. I mean, like, the outer shell might be. I'm sure there's other strong metal in there, and it's going at hundreds of miles an hour. Like, let me look up how fast does a commercial airplane go? Between 550 and 600 miles an hour. Who knows? How fast? The planes on 9/11 were flying between 494 and 586 miles per hour. Like, that's going to do some fucking damage. I don't care what it is. Anything going that fast is going to do damage. And it literally says right there on Google, speed likely a factor in World Trade Center collapse. Like, if it wasn't going so fast, then yeah, aluminum's not going to do that. But if you get something moving fast enough, it doesn't fucking matter what it is. It's going to take it out. And structurally, once one part goes, the rest of it goes. I don't know. Anyone who believes 9/11 was like an inside job or something like that, like, I understand where you're coming from. I just think you're an idiot. Um, my next one. This was originally, this topic was supposed to be, I was supposed to watch, or for the uninformed, everybody who's listening to this, I'm sure you are informed, but the former chancellor of the University of Wisconsin Lacrosse and his wife apparently are porn stars on the side and like film sex cooking videos, sexy happy couple. I was supposed to review their sex tapes, and those got deleted by the time I went to watch them. Thank God, because I didn't want to watch that. Um, so yeah, the new topic. I'm going to review each skin of the Fortnite Battle Pass, rate them 1 to 10, and then if I think they'd be submissive or dominant in bed. And if you don't play Fortnite, the Battle Pass has 8 skins this season. There's Solid Snake, which I'm pretty sure is from Metal Gear Solid, because it's part of the Gaming Legends series, and I know Snake's the main character in Metal Gear Solid. There's Peter, and he's not fat. I can't really. I'm not skilled enough with editing to put them in, so you'll have to just look these up if you don't know what they are. There's Valeria, Hope, Vengeance Jones, and he's got a couple different like styles of skin. Like, they're cartoon drawn, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big fan of those. We'll get into it. There's Montague, kind of reminds me of Doctor Strange. There's Nisha, who's like a fencer, and there's Oscar, who's like a tiger. First off, we're gonna start with Solid Snake, and this skin's cool. I just didn't play Metal Gear Solid or any of those games. He's got a couple different, like, he's just your stereotypical stealth soldier. That's what he looks like to me. It's a cool skin. Just, I didn't play Metal Gear Solid enough to appreciate it. And I've got him ranked at a 6 out of 10 on the skin. He's got 3 different options. There's an old snake, Solid Snake with goggles, and then just a normal one. And I would say that he is a sub in the bedroom. He just kind of seems like it. One of those hard ass guys that deep down he is not a hard ass. Next we've got Peanut, and Peter's a 10 out of 10 skin. You could maybe say like 9.7 out of 10, but he's got a gold plated suit. He's got a fancy one and a top hat, and then a fancy one where he's got no hat. He's buff, and in Family Guy, Peter's not buff. I wish he was fat, so we're going to give it like a 9.7 out of 10. And if you've watched Family Guy, you know Peter's a sub. He's a bitch. But the skin is cool. All of those crossovers that like they've done, like video games are doing now, like Overwatch does some with anime. Fortnite's done a ton. Those are all such like cool things that I never thought would happen. And the fact that we're seeing it happen, and it's kind of propelling Fortnite back into relevance. Not saying it was ever irrelevant, because it's maintained a pretty high player base. But like, after they brought back the OG stuff, like, so many more people played it. They brought this Family Guy thing, and I know people that have played just for the sole purpose of getting Peter. So I mean, it works. They're a good business and a good company, and they know what they're doing. So 9.7 for Peter. He's a sub. Let me check my time here. Yeah, I can keep going at this pace. Valeria, she's like kind of like a pop star type thing. It looks like she looks like she could be a pop star, but also like a secret disco agent in the 70s. I said she is an 8 out of 10. Her skin. She's got like those super level things. that a couple of them have, and it basically just gives them a different clothing pattern. You can take her glasses on and off. She's got a green color and scarlet color. Yeah, I gave her an 8 out of 10, and she's our first Dom on the list. Like, she definitely just has her way with people. She could be into BDSM, like dominatrix type stuff. Like, she kind of gives off that vibe. And I hate that I'm saying this about a cartoon, especially like her Burning Ambition one. Like, that bitch uses whips, and she hurts people for pleasure. That is what she does. Um, the next one is Hope, who is kind of the same style. She gives off a little bit of a pirate vibe, like a cyberpunk pirate. No, that is completely wrong. She's just kind of like a cyberpunk type. I don't know. Cyberpunk. That's the best thing. She's got a stupid hat she can put on. You can take her glasses on and off. They're like sunglasses, hippie shades. She also has the super levels. She's got a couple different versions of her style. Definitely meant to be like some kind of K-pop anime girl. I gave her skin, like, some of them are cool. The right, the right one, I could see her being like an 8 out of 10. All in all, I'll give this like a 7 out of 10. And I'd say that she's a dom most of the time, but sometimes she's a sub. Like, she's the opposite of Snake. Like, you'd expect Snake to be this way, but flip flop her and Snake, and that's my opinion of them. The next one is the worst skin out of them all, and I'm gonna say it's Vengeance Jones, and he's almost got like that. It kind of reminds me of like the Spider Verse style animation. He's almost got like that with him, like the comic book style, and I just don't really like that in video games. Like, I can see how it appeals to other people, and yeah, it's just not for me, in all honesty. I can see how other people would like it just for the duotone or the underground style, for that cartoon style thing. But all in all, I'd give this in like a 5 out of 10. I'd say he's a Dom. 5.5. I'd say he's like a Dom, but like, he doesn't know what he's doing. And he's really bad at it. Yeah, that's kind of what I'd go with. This next one's probably my favorite, one of my favorite skins, the Montague one, just because, like I said earlier, it kind of looks like Doctor Strange. He's got that diamond skin, which is alright, and then the rough cut one. I don't know, I just like it because it looks like Doctor Strange, and I think that's a cool look. His super level stuff looks cooler than everybody else's, in my opinion. It looks the best with him, especially with that diamond cut. Like, you can make him look like a shiny rainbow diamond or like an amethyst diamond or something like that. Like, that's cool. And yeah, give him a 9 out of 10. Maybe an 8 out of 10. 8 to 9 out of 10. And I'd say he's a dom. He's just a normal dude. I feel like most normal dudes are doms. Don't know. I'm sick of talking about sex on this. I mean, this is the last one. The last one I gave a. Or, nope, there's two more, sorry. Nisha, she's like a fencing lady. And she's got some cool colors. Like, her Midnight Duelist looks cool. But otherwise, she wears all white. She's got a bunch of different masks. You can take her mask off. She also gets the super level stuff, but I don't like how the super level stuff looks with her. Yeah, her. You can make her look so dumb, but you can also make her look kind of cool. So, I don't know. Initially, I said like a 6 out of 10 for her, but I'll give her like a 6.5, 7 out of 10, and I'd say she's a dom. She fences. Oscar is the big tiger. I think he is very cool. His styles, the shock brawler is very cool, especially with the super level stuff. The expressionist one in particular. The Siberian Tiger's cool. I gave it a 9 out of 10, and he's a sub, but sometimes a dom, just because that's kind of how cats are. They can be like that. And yeah, on to the next one. Is our second to last one. And um there's going to be a musical performance in the middle of this one. And it's because I will be talking about I'll just get into it. For Breaking Bad fans, you know that Ted Beneke is a sack of shit. Like, I've tweeted multiple times, or I've posted on X.com multiple times, that today is a good day to hate Ted Beneke. And that's because it is. Every day is a good day to hate Ted Beneke. And that's because he's a scumbag. He's a grade A scumbag. Yeah, he commits fraud in Breaking Bad, like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fraud. Ruins his dad's company that his dad worked so hard to build. And the entire time that Skylar worked there before, you know he was just going after, like, lusting after her. Even though he had a wife at the time. He's divorced during the times of Breaking Bad. So, of course, he's going to come after Skylar with a relentless fervor. And he wants her. He wants her. And at this point, Skylar hates Walt. What's stopping her? Oh, man. Skylar hates Walt and has no problem cheating on him, as she shows. And, yeah, it's... I was supposed to talk about the toxicity between Ted Beneke, Skylar, and Walt, but I really don't think it's like a three-way thing like that. I'd say the toxicity there is the fact that Skylar, a married woman and mother of two, is able to cheat on her husband, which, I mean, everybody who watches the show from like a real life perspective can agree that Skylar, like, yeah, she's a bitch, but she deserves to be a bitch. Like, Walt is grade A scum behavior in that show. But from the way that we're supposed to watch that, and that Vince Gilligan, like, wanted us to watch it, I hate Skylar. Everybody hates Skylar. So, the fact that she cheats on Walt, who everybody is, like, rooting for, even though he's horrible. He's a horrible person. You're rooting for Walt because he's the main character, and it makes you hate Skylar. So, I'm sure if, like, Skylar was the main character, we would be painted to hate Walt, rightfully so, and we'd be like, yeah, Skylar, go get some, stick it to him. And, I mean, that's what happened. He stuck it to her, and she ends up cheating on Walt, further wrecking their marriage. And then she tries to save Ted later on in the show. Tries to save him when the IRS is coming after him, right? Gives him all this money that Walter cooked for. Tries giving him all this dirty money. So at the end of the day, she is... I can see where you want me to go with toxicity here. Because she's using her husband's hard-earned drug money to try and pay off the guy she's having an affair with. And, yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean, the guy sucks. He deserved what he had coming to him at the end when he fell and paralyzed himself. And, yeah. He basically, at his birthday party, he begged Skylar to sing him happy birthday because she has some beautiful voice or whatever. And she agrees after the entire office, like, gets in and going like, yeah, Skylar. They wanted this to happen. And it makes me hate every single one of those actors. I hate how uncomfortable I was watching it. I hate how uncomfortable I was watching it again earlier today so I can get the tones down. And I hate how uncomfortable I'm about to make everybody listening to this. And anybody that can hear me in my house, because I'm sure they can. I'm talking kind of loud. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President of Beneke. Hold on, sorry. Happy birthday, Mr. President of Beneke Fabrications. Happy birthday to you. I'm sorry I butchered that performance there because I forgot what his company was called. I'm also sorry that you had to sit through that. I'm more embarrassed after that, after that entire sex position talk. But, yeah, so that scene happened. She sang to him just like that. They had cake. Ted had already had cake, Skylar's cake. And while I was, like, kind of reading into this, I saw this one conspiracy theory that you tinfoil hat fuckers are gonna love. And that theory was that Ted Beneke was Walter Jr.'s real father. And obviously, completely false. Completely false, that's not true. But when they... their reasoning behind that is when Skylar originally goes back to talk to Ted to get her job back, he asks, "Oh, how's Walter Jr.?" He asks specifically about Walter Jr. And, of course, he's probably doesn't know that they had Holly. So he's going to ask about the one kid. He's not going to be like, "Oh, how's your son?" He's going to show that he cares and say Walter Jr. And she says something like, "Oh, he's good," or whatever. And he makes a comment where he's like, "Oh, good genes." Yeah, he's got those Beneke genes in him, according to the conspiracy theorists. And, I don't know how much weight that holds. I know, as I mentioned earlier, I'm sure he was lusting after Skylar when she was the receptionist at his business while he was married, because he's a scumbag piece of shit and doesn't care about the sanctity of marriage, whether that be his own or, in this case, Skylar's. But, yeah, there's people out there that will believe that Ted Beneke is the father of Walter White Jr. And I don't believe any of that. I don't believe it one bit. So, yeah, when Skylar tells Walt that she fucked Ted, that's obviously not cool. But, I don't know, that whole relationship just has the weirdest dynamic, and there's not a whole lot you can do to, like, break it down. Because at the end of the day, it's a TV show, and you can look into the relationship however you want, but unless you're Vince Gilligan or one of the other, like, show writers, you're never really gonna know what was going on there, or like what his vision was, because nothing can ever be perfectly like enacted out and fully fleshed out the way that a creator means it to be in their head. Like, it's always going to come out a different way when it's actually performed, no matter what. Nothing is ever performed perfectly to a vision. So there might be some relationship dynamics, but I'm not a relationship counselor, and I'm not going to pretend to be one. I'm not doing a lot of pretending on this podcast. I think I've used that phrase 3 times. But, yeah. The toxicity there, it's a cheating relationship. There's a lot of toxicity. That whole scene was toxic. The birthday scene. There's a lot of sexual tension there. They fucked, whatever. It's an affair. It's like any other affair. Not good. Ted's a piece of shit. Walt's a piece of shit. Skyler's a piece of shit. There's not a single good, pure person in Breaking Bad. I mean, there probably is, but I can't think of them right now. And on that note, we're going to get into the champions question. He wanted me to watch and review, what I'm not exaggerating, one of the worst movies and worst lead actor performances that I have ever seen in my life. I'm not exaggerating. I watched the first 45 minutes of it on... Like, I didn't pay for this movie, and I still felt fucking ripped off that I wasted my time watching it. Fuck you, Bush. And I watched the first 45 minutes on normal speed, and then the next 45, because it's an hour and a half movie, the next 45 minutes I had to watch on 2x speed, because it was just so bad. But I watched it all, and it's called The Room. It was made in 2003. It was produced by, directed by, written by, and starred in by Tommy Wiseau. He's not an actor. He is not an actor. He is not a fucking actor. That was horrible. This movie fails at everything. Everything. Down to basic movie making. Poorly paced storyline. Horrible editing. When I texted Bush about this earlier, telling him I hated them, he's like, everything, like the audio of it looked dubbed over. And it did. And I thought that was just because I was watching it on some free-to-watch website. No. That's just how the movie is. It's horrible. And I read somewhere that the budget for it was fucking... Yeah, the budget was $6 million. How do you spend $6 million on this fucking dog shit movie where there's not even, like, big-name actors or anything in it? Like, I couldn't name a single person that's in these movies. Ugh. Worst movie I've ever watched. I had 97 notes on this movie while I was watching it. We're just going to go through and talk about the quotes first. 3 minutes in, I noticed this guy is like some kind of... Like, English might not be his first language. And I looked it up and he's Polish. So I can't really fault him for his delivery. But I feel like as an actor, it could be better. But 3 minutes in, I highlighted anything for my princess just because of how he said it. Didn't like it. The main woman in the... Actually, I can't talk about just the quotes. I just have to go down the line. 4 minutes into the movie, they were, like, in bed about to get busy, and then some random kid just jumps in. Like, not a kid, like a 20-year-old. Like, just jumps into bed and starts wrestling around with them. Whatever. 5 minutes in, they were dancing and fucking. That was, like, a 3-minute scene. Didn't have to be. This movie's an hour and a half long. I shit you not, like 10 minutes of it are different sex scenes. They go way too far, and they're just so long and awkward, and they don't need to be there. It's just like watching softcore porn, except it's not hot. And apparently parts of this were semi-autobiographical. So I'm sorry. But, oh my god, horrible movie. 8 minutes in, half of the movie had been them fucking. And his first reaction to waking up the next morning was to sniff the rose on the bedside table. I highlighted that. The mother of the whore is a shitty actress, and she is just playing a cliche mom. Tommy, the main character, or Johnny, the main character, buys whatever the fuck the bitch is, his cheating girlfriend's name. Buys her whatever she wants, pays for everything. And she cheats on him with his best friend. And she's a sex addict. And one of my notes said, oh, look, more fucking. 17 minutes in, and she's fucked 2 different guys. I said, I feel like I'm watching porn, shitty acting, shitty camera work, and it's mostly sex. Yeah, Denny, the like college kid that jumped into bed with him, knocked on the door, was looking for Johnny, and like said, hi, you look beautiful today. Can I kiss you? And then she's like, no. And he's like, oh, I'm just joking. And then he scampers off. One thing about this movie, people just show up, and then they disappear. Like, they randomly show up at the most convenient times, stay for, like, a couple minutes, and leave. The pacing, awful. Not a good movie. How did they look at this movie and say people are gonna like this? Like, how? She says, if you love me, you'll drink this when Johnny doesn't drink. And then Johnny goes, you're right, it tastes good. And I was like, oh my god, I hate this. He gets hammered, he dropped a glass, he has a sentence, they have like a back and forth where she's like, he goes, you have nice legs, Lisa. That's the horse name. You have nice legs, Lisa. And she goes, you have nice pecs. And then he goes, I'm tired. I'm wasted. I love you, darling. And, oh my god. And then she's like, fuck me. And they fuck 25 minutes in, and there's been 3 fuck sessions. And they're all like over 2 minutes long. Like, so much of this movie was sex, at least 10 minutes. Then there's just random college kids making out with chocolate in between their mouths and stuff. She gives him head, and the dude makes like the craziest face ever, and it's just so corny, horrible. People like to stand up on the roof just holding sports balls. Like, Denny was up on the roof dribbling a basketball. They just play football randomly, throw the football around, run walking routes or something like that. Denny, the college kid, almost gets robbed, and he's held at gunpoint, and then the main character and his friend come up and, like, whip the gun back around on the dude that's trying to rob him and dispose of him. Then Lisa accuses Johnny of hitting her, which he doesn't. And that's where this meme comes from. It's the, I never hit her. I didn't do this. This is bullshit. And then he's all mad, and then he looks up and goes, oh, hi, Mark. And he's just in a completely different mood. That's like a well-known meme that I've known. But yeah, I saw that. Didn't know that's what that meme was from. It was cool to see the origin. I wish I had a Johnny, the main character in my life, because he seems like such a nice and genuine dude, other than the fact that he has a stupid Polish accent, and I hate the way he talks. But, sorry if that's racist, but I'm sorry. Delivery is horrible, that whole movie, and it pissed me off. But, yeah. I forgot where I was going with this. I wish I had a Johnny in my life. He pays for everything for everybody around him. It's awesome. Lisa doesn't feel guilty about cheating on him with his best friend. And Mark, the entire time, like, feels guilty. Whole movie, guilty. And then suddenly at the end of the movie at his birthday party, I'll get to it, sorry. He confronts her and about, like, telling people that Johnny confronts Lisa about Lisa telling people that Johnny hit her. And then that's when the, like, second most quotable line goes, you're tearing me apart, Lisa! And it's, like, in the middle of their argument, and it's funny. But, yeah. So that happens, and right after this is where I notice everybody just kind of shows up. Like, there's random characters in the movie, they just show up. Johnny heard Lisa say she doesn't love him anymore. Johnny just has stuff laying around in his apartment that he can record phone calls coming in and out, and he uses that. Like, just wires his own house. It's crazy. And he has a psychologist friend or something like that, and he doesn't even fucking know what to do about the situation. And Johnny goes, oh, well, love is blind. I love her. No, you don't. They do this chicken impression in the movie, and it's an awful chicken, you know, like, buck, 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 chicken, chicken, buck, buck, buck. No, it's chip, 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 chip. That's how they do the chicken impression, and they do it 3 times in the movie. That's way too many times to be doing a chicken impression. Oh my god. I hated it. I hated it. There's one point where they're all in suits, and Denny's like, oh, let's go play football. Let's go run routes in our suits. No. I mean, football guy. I respect it, but I don't understand it. Johnny and Mark is the guy cheating or the guy that Johnny's girl is cheating on him with. They meet at a coffee store. They get their coffee, sit down. Johnny asks Mark, oh, any women in your life? And he goes, it's too complicated. I don't want to talk about it. And he goes, and how about, anyways, how's your sex life? And then Mark goes, I can't talk about it. He goes, why not? Oh, I have to leave. He gets up. All he wants to ask about is his sex life. It was so weird. Just bad pacing. More sex scenes happen. Then it's Johnny's surprise birthday. She starts making out with Mark at Johnny's party. Like, when she tells everyone else to go outside. And then she gets caught. she tells Johnny that they're expecting, and he tells everybody. And then later on in the thing, Mark and Johnny get into it. And one thing about the actor who plays Johnny's delivery, he doesn't use commas when he talks. Like, I have it quoted, "Don't touch me, motherfucker, get out." He says it like that in the movie. And then, like, 30 seconds later, "I kill you, you bastard!" He doesn't use commas. It's crazy. They did the chicken impression one more time. Johnny goes, "It's over. Everyone betrayed me. I'm fed up with this world." And then he that was Jamaican there. But he goes and, like, locks himself in the bathroom. And then eventually, Mark and Lisa are together or whatever. And Mark is completely turned on Johnny, like, I hate him. He sucks. You fucking piece of shit. Anyways, they're together. And then Johnny fucking shoots himself. And then once again, everybody just shows up at the apartment. And yeah, the pacing is horrible. I give this movie, it has like a 30-something% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that's just because it's like a cult movie where people make fun of how bad it is, and it's got memes from it. And every line that Johnny says is quotable because he's so fucking bad. But anyways, this movie gets a 1 out of 10, and that's only because I don't believe in giving movies zeros. And with that is the end of my podcast. Thank you to those of you that tuned in. I hope I entertained you. And I hope I never have to fucking do this again. Don't suck at fantasy football. Here's to a better 2024. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.